Hey everyone, just a couple quick important disclaimers before this very special interview I had with Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot. The first is just that this was the first time I was using a new camera setup for interviews, and I wasn't aware of how dark the image was, unfortunately, and also I had some autofocus issues I still hadn't worked out, so I fixed the lighting as much as I could, but the image will still kind of come in and out of focus every once in a while. And so I just want to apologize for that in advance and let you know, this is below my standards of video quality, and it won't it won't happen in the future. The other thing I just wanted to note real quick is that, this is my fourth E3 with Ubisoft in a row. And every year I've met Yves, actually, and usually it's just really briefly, sometimes for a little bit longer, but he's always been incredibly kind to me. He loves, and I've always just been really struck by how much he deeply cares about the fans and what they think. And it's hard for me to imagine any of these other big game publishers or developers like doing things like bringing in 50 quote-unquote star players like they did this year, and then giving them a special shout-out video like during the Ubisoft press conference and stuff like that. And there's tons of examples like this that you guys don't even get to see usually. That's happened like every year I've been, and Yves is always kind of like at the forefront of this, and it's just clear to me that he really deeply cares what the fans think, and he understands how important they are to the success of the franchises, and I think that's just really, really cool. I think he also just really enjoys seeing people who love the games that they create, and so I just wanted to say I'm very grateful for this interview with Yves. I definitely don't take it for granted, and I just think it's really cool that a CEO of a company like Ubisoft would be willing to sit down with kind of like a ragtag channel of mine and answer some fan questions, even the ones that aren't necessarily easy to answer, as you'll see. And so I just wanted to make a quick note about all that, and so with that, I hope you guys enjoy the interview.
Hello everybody, it's Loomer. I'm here at E3 here at the Uplay kind of like pre-E3 party for the star players, here with Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot, who is very, very kind to take some time out to do an interview. You may remember that I collected questions last year for an interview, and unfortunately we couldn't make it happen that year, but he was kind enough to agree to do it this year. So I'm actually taking questions from last year, but most of them still kind of apply. So Yves, thank you so much for taking the time to talk and take questions from the fans. Our highest voted question actually is from Gregory from Chicago, who asks, speaking as CEO, what do you think makes Ubisoft and its games unique and truly special? And what's your vision for the future of the company?
I would say it's all the talents that are in Ubisoft. What we try to do is to really recruit the best and make sure that they feel they have enough freedom to create what they want. And that, I think, is making the difference.
And the second part, what's your vision for the future of the company?
Oh, it's that would be a long answer. I would say the fact that open worlds, systemic open worlds, are growing a lot is something that we love, because it's going to give more freedom to players, but it's going to give us also a way to create worlds that can be adapted to all types of players, all types of experiences. So that's something we love, and there's something we are looking at also very much, which is virtual reality. We are working this year a lot on new concepts, new types of products that we are going to show.
Great. So I should also note that this is the day before the Ubisoft press conference, so by the time this interview comes out, some of these answers might be a little more concrete. I don't actually know. I'm just for context. Okay, great. Oh, sorry. Almost messed up our candlelight setting here. Okay, so second question actually is also from Gregory from Chicago, who asks, as the CEO of a gaming company, how involved are you with the games themselves? And do you have a favorite franchise/game to work on?
So what we do is we have gates we have gates for all the games we create, and I participate to all those gates. And so we see the products from the teams, and then we have a session after those guys presented the games, and we have to decide if what we like, what we don't like, what should be changed, and so on. So I'm participating in this, and I have lots of fun in doing that actually. And because I am with a team that is very good, I am able to say what I think, but also to take good advices from all those people around me to influence what those games will become.
And do you have a favorite franchise / game to work on?
It's very difficult to answer that question because, it's like when you have a family, you can. It's very difficult to say which one you prefer because you love them all.
Gregory also wanted to note that as a Chicagoan, he especially loved Watch Dogs, so thanks to you and all the UB teams. Let's see. Sorry, I'm going to skip past some of these older questions. Here's a question from Frank, who asks, what would you say to an Assassin's Creed fan who has felt burnt out from the annual entries to the series? And do you feel that Unity, or maybe now Syndicate this year, does enough new things to keep us playing?
Yeah, we with Unity, what we did is we changed the engine totally. We wanted to redo the whole franchise, making sure that the engine would be with no line of code that would be the same from the previous iterations. And we were a little bit optimistic on what we could achieve. And what you should see this year with Syndicate is a new step with the engine. So I think the people that love Assassin will really like what we will bring this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, like Unity, for all its bugs, did look fantastic. Like, it did a city like in a way that I haven't seen. It just blew me away. Like, it's definitely one of the highlights. But of course, it was almost too ambitious, at least for the time frame too. I was actually curious about a quote that it was in 2013 it was Laurent Detoc, is that how you say it? Yeah, so North American president of Ubisoft had told IGN that basically Assassin's Creed titles would be delayed from their annualized schedule if it wasn't quote-unquote good enough. And I'm a little curious to hear your thoughts on the decision. I mean, Unity was delayed 2 weeks, but I think it's clear that it needed longer than that. It probably needed to miss the holiday season to be in a really solid state. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that quote and if you think it still applies and how it applies to Unity.
Yeah, sure. I think it's there's something to understand about those games is that in the last 3 weeks of those games, our ability to correct bugs is very volatile. And what happens is generally we are correcting 1,500 bugs per day. And the ratio of how many bugs we find and how many bugs we correct is varying, depending very much on how in control we are on the engine. And what happened on Unity is that because it was a completely new engine, the launch date for the game was set, and we pushed it, but at the end of the day, when we launched the product, there were still some bugs that we did correct afterward, but especially on PC, people really were unhappy with what came on. And on many machines, but we really tried hard, but it's very difficult because at the end we correct lots of bugs.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's tough, especially when you have something like the promotion with the Xbox and everything. With the bundle, I'm sure it was hard to delay it past that. Do you still kind of subscribe to this idea, though, that in the future, like if you encountered another situation like that, maybe not for Syndicate, but if the engine gets rewritten again, like in the future, and it's looking kind of shaky, there's still a lot of bugs, do you think that it's still a possibility to delay from the annualized schedule in order to make sure it's a solid product?
Yeah, what we do, we learned our lessons from that, and what we do is we make sure we can close the game a lot earlier in the process so that we can polish, that we can have a lot more time to polish. So that's what we have been doing.
Okay, great, thanks so much. The next question is from Jex, who is kind of in the same vein, but he asks, with the strong sales of Watch Dogs and the rising popularity of the Far Cry series, is there any chance that the release interval between Assassin's Creed games will increase?
You know, what we have done and what we are doing is to try to create as many brands as possible so that we can make sure, you know, we come on a regular basis with those brands, and if we can articulate, you know, one brand with the other, it will be the ideal thing for us. It's just, you know, we can't say now what we are actually going to do exactly, but having time for the teams to do what they want to do is always very good. It's just sometimes we saw that when we take too much time, it's not better than when we take less. So we have to find the right mix.
Okay. All right, we'll just do a couple more questions. Another question from Jex. As much as you can say about this, will Prince of Persia ever return?
It's difficult to answer that question yet. It's a fantastic franchise, and we know there are lots of fans who loved it. So one day, maybe.
It's definitely still beloved by the company, right? Like,
it's a beloved franchise, yes. We did so well with it. You know, there were so many people that love to play that franchise that we will try to make sure we please them.
All right, so maybe one more question before we close out. We had an anonymous question who asks, where did the name Ubisoft come from? Does it have a meaning for you?
Yes, Ubisoft, you know, is when it was created, the goal was to say, okay, Ubi, which is ubiquity. So, you know, that everywhere was the software is, you know. So it was the goal. It was to say, okay, we can be everywhere, and that's why Ubisoft now is sold on a worldwide basis.
Does it have any other special meaning to you, or is it?
No, it was really this notion of ubiquity, and that's what you have.
And it was like a family. It was like you and your brothers, I believe, or something.
We are still 5 brothers managing the company.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're definitely out of time, but I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview and answer these questions. All right, thank you so much. Stay tuned for my other E3 videos. We'll have links at the end and in the description. Thank you again to Yves, and we'll see you later. Bye.